Hi, and welcome to General Meeting. I'm Becky Sloviter. A very special episode today for a number of reasons. First of all, it's a crossover episode. It is coming out on my podcast feed and my YouTube channel at the same moment that it is coming out on my guest's podcast feed and his YouTube channel. The second reason it's so special is my guest. His name is Todd Garner. He is not an actor or a writer or a filmmaker, at least not in the traditional sense of the word, but he is a legendary producer and studio executive, and also one of the founding members of Producers United, which is a fantastic advocacy group working inside Hollywood to support producers. We talk a lot about that on this episode, and so you'll get more info there. The third reason it is so special is because, and I think I'm using special in quotes here, it got very vulnerable and very specific to me. Todd, in a very supportive way that I appreciated, really wanted to know what is going on with me, that I am taking a bit of a break from producing right now. And it became a really interesting, somewhat cathartic, candid conversation about where Hollywood is right now, how that's personally affected me. And again, vulnerable city. So stay tuned if you want to see that. But even if you don't work in Hollywood, I think there's a lot to connect to in this episode. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for seeing the vulnerability and hopefully getting something out of it. See you next week. Todd Garner, welcome to General Meeting with Becky Sloviter.
Welcome to Producer's Guide with Todd Garner.
Exactly. This is a very exciting crossover episode. You and I have known each other forever, and we've worked together. You were kind enough to have me on your podcast because of Palm Springs after that big Sundance sale. And you've just always been a real supporter of mine. I have a really distinct memory. I was thinking back about when I started my own company and you called and you were like, let me take you to lunch. And you just were like, gave me the pep talk when I needed it. When my movie Let's Have Kids got greenlit and I put that emotional and dramatic text out to the Producers United chain, you called me that night and you were like, tell me the whole story. And it was so great. I remember it was Friday night and I hadn't had a movie greenlit in 5 years. And what the pandemic and the strikes did to everybody had just sort of killed my soul. All of our interactions, because they're always just in this town, it's unique because they're supportive and lovely.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's my whole thing with this, right? Is that it's so hard what we do and it's so lonely, even though your husband is also a producer, but it's a lonely job. And if we can't root for each other, that's the other thing. When I was coming up through the business, we fucked with each other, like me and Lorenzo and Stuber, but we loved each other because we hung out together and we rooted for each other.
Yes.
And when I became a producer, I missed that. I missed the camaraderie because there is this feeling that there's this competitive feeling. There's only so many slots. There's only so much material. There's only so many pieces of talent. So it's like we feel competitive, but in reality, we have to root for each other and we have to take care of each other. And that's why Producers United is so important.
I remember being at that first dinner for Producers United at your house, December 2021, I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. And it, was spawned from basically that camaraderie that you're talking about, but especially during the pandemic of that core group of people that you had come up in the business with, and now what it's grown to has been incredible.
The way it started was two-pronged. One was from my podcast because I really enjoyed talking to all the producers and getting to know them. And your show is called General Meeting. I've had thousands of general meetings, and they usually last about an hour, and you can kind of get under the hood of people's backstories, but not really. And so I wanted to really talk to my friends and colleagues about what got them started, what are they interested in.
Yeah.
So that was so much, that was so soothing for me. And it was really good for me to do that.
Yes.
So I wanted other people to be able to share in having those conversations, number one. And number two, it really started during the pandemic because myself and Basil Iwanek and Neil Moritz and Mark Varadian and Bo Flynn and Guyman Cassidy and Marty Bowen, we would Zoom on Friday night and have a drink together just because we couldn't hang out.
Totally.
So it was like, what can we do? So we would talk, and on one of these Zooms, of course, it was during the pandemic, so I was talking about healthcare, and Neil Moritz, I didn't have healthcare. And Neil Moritz goes, "You have healthcare," and I couldn't believe it. Was like, what? And he explained how we have healthcare, and I'm not kidding. I started telling people. I told Stacey Scher, she's like, "We have healthcare." And now she has healthcare. Stacey Scher, who like has Academy Awards and is a legend, didn't know that she was eligible for healthcare. That's insane to me.
Yes.
And so I that became my mission, is like, well, between those two things, we have to be able to talk. We have to be able to communicate and have to be able to share information. And so that was really the formation of Producers United. Was I just wanted everybody to experience that. So we, Varadian and I and Neil and Bo and that same group discussed it and said, well, let's just informally start to meet. And I think Nina Jacobson was one of the first people, and you.
Yep.
And then really where it really then took off was during my Strike Talk podcast with Billy
That was
Ray.
incredible.
I was talking to Julie Lynn and Bonnie, and we were talking about the fact that everybody's struggling. Yeah. And Bonnie's worked with Spielberg. And I was like, what the hell? And so I brought them in, and then that really kickstarted. Once we got a few of the independent producers in there, that really kickstarted the group, and now it's 300 members. And it's just important because we don't have a union. The Producers Guild is so vast. It's hard to really connect and communicate when you have 8,000 members. So it was just something that was important to me. And to also, the reason why the podcast is so important to me is to just really explain to people what we do and why we are valuable and why we matter and why you need us. And so that was really important.
I used to listen to the podcast when I was driving. I had a really long drive to the set of Palm Springs every day because we shot in LA, but it was really Santa Clarita, Palmdale. And I would listen because going back to producing is such a lonely journey in a lot of ways. The pressure that is on all of us was so extreme, so intense. And your podcast was like soothing to me because it was borderline therapy, because you had all of these legendary producers, people you had either worked with or knew, and just dug into, what's your history? What's your origin story? It was just so speaking my language. At that point, I'd been a producer for 15 years or whatever it was. And it just felt like, oh, okay, yes, everyone is in the shit sometimes. Everyone gets that flipping out call, doesn't know how they're going to handle it, figures it out, Yeah. And so it was that camaraderie. And then I remember also when I launched my own production company called the Producers Guild, and I was like, hi, I would like some health insurance, please. That must exist. And then I remember standing near your fire pit or whatever it was, talking to Neil Moritz about this. And he was like, I get this pill for X amount, like X cents. And you were like, oh, I'm paying a little more for that. All right. But it became such a balm to all of our souls.
Yeah.
Well,
think about the fact that you were 15 years into doing a job.
Yep.
And still feeling like you didn't know what the hell was going on.
Completely.
That's just, it's human nature also. I can remember I went to a public high school in San Fernando, and I was like in theater, and I played soccer, and I was a skateboarding kid, and I wasn't like I got good grades, but believe me, I only got good grades because my father forced me to. Yeah. So I got good grades, and then I ended up getting accepted to Occidental College, which is an insanely good college to go to. And I was I literally only went there because my father went there. And I was so out of my depth. And I remember, because I played soccer for them, I got there early, and every kid I met, I thought to myself, oh shit, they are so much smarter than me. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, the imposter syndrome.
God. And then pretty much the whole 4 years, I was like, what am I here for? Like Obama went here. Like, I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm way out of my league. Anyway, I graduated summa cum laude from that place. And then looking back, I was like, oh, you just kind of have to do it every day.
Yes.
It's the same thing with producing.
One foot in front of the other.
So many people feel like, especially if you're a young producer, you justifiably feel like, wow, this is really daunting. And how the hell do you get anything made? And it's really hard.
Yes.
And then, of course, the media and everybody's telling you every day how hard it is.
Every goddamn day.
But even you, 15 years in, were like, it's really hard. I don't really know what this is the right way to do this.
And is it just me? Exactly.
Right.
Like that's
it's definitely not.
And that's the comfort of it. And so now, 20 plus years into it, I love your podcast. And it remains, even though I'm on a little bit of a sabbatical right now, because this podcast is really something you said a few minutes ago really resonates with me. You doing the podcast really was enriching to you. This has revived my soul a bit.
Good.
And I think working in Hollywood right now and for the past X amount of years has kind of crushed my soul. And it just coming from a place of wanting what's best for the movie, wanting to get a fucking movie made. That battle, that sort of struggle became so hard that just connecting one-on-one, hearing people's stories. I have such a clear memory of actually, I can't believe we're talking about Neil so much on this episode. Hi, Neil. But his episode where he was talking about how Amy Pascal just trusted him.
Now I think it's just so ubiquitous of, I don't know why, but very few producers are trusted anymore.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I want to go back to something that you just said. Why is your soul crushed? What's going on? What specifically? Because I think this is important, because we talk a lot about on my podcast specifically about our theories of, this is the way the business has changed, and agents and managers and executives and producers are all, this is the way that the business is shifting and why. Yeah. But specifically for you, why is your soul crushed?
I think, I love this question. Okay. I think it's multi-causal. One of the things, to speak really specifically, getting Let's Have Kids finally made, but it is still not out. Adam and Steekeel and I, who you were kind enough to have on your podcast, and I can't wait for that episode. He and I took 4 years to get that movie greenlit. That's actually, it's sort of typical amount of time, actually. And then we made it, and it's incredible, and we had the best experience making it. And because we made it for a price, and because of, I think, the state of the business in many ways, it is going to come out this year. We are working on the trailer now, but it has been just sort of dormant sitting there. And that, I think, is part of, for me personally, losing sort of faith in, you do everything right, you make it good. You've seen it. You came to one of those UTA screenings we did. Everybody loves this movie. It's so charming. It's like the movies we grew up on. It's Ron Howard, Cameron Crowe, Jim Brooks, in that vein, but about female friendship and pregnancy and all of it. And it's like there's no room for that. No one seems to care. And that's part of it, for sure.
Well, stop. So before we move on from that, do you feel like it's different than it was before? Like if you'd have made this movie in the past, it would have found a home?
Steeks and I talk about that all the time. This was 10, 15 years ago. This would have been a great New Line movie. And a robust comedy. We were aiming to make it at a higher budget initially anyway, ended up backing it into a very low number because this was Steekeel's directorial debut. As we kept saying, as we were trying to get it greenlit, the only thing that matters for his directing career and that we collectively care about is that it's good.
Why do you think that is, given that there's so many more places to put it now, streaming, Amazon, Netflix, Apple, every player? Why? What's your gut? what's your gut of what's happening, of why it didn't find a home right away?
We made it with MRC and then submitted it to a few film festivals. I think it is too commercial for Sundance. It has a deep commerciality. Adam and I would talk about this all the time. Deeply commercial in its concept, in its sensibility, but it's done in a very grounded way. Karen Gillan, Zoe Chow, Max Greenfield, Sam Richardson, Mary Steenburgen, I could go on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you've never heard of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a deal at Republic Pictures, which is part of Paramount. So some of the delay has been no one's fault. The Paramount Skydance merger, a new head of Republic came in. It's just been sitting there. This is not a weird left of center, who's the audience.
Mm-hmm.
That has been, I think, a big part of, Adam and I pulling our hair out of there used to be a lot of room for movies like this.
Right.
And it's also, the last thing I'll say about it that is, I think, the soul crushing part, it's so relatable. So much of that sort of thinking as I was coming up in the aughts with Marion Scott and then kind of continued on there was more volume, of course, but there's something for everyone. There's the big action movie, there's the horror movie, but there's a warm comedy about people that you can connect to.
Mm-hmm.
I have trouble finding that now. And that's a lot of what I love, was inspired by, and want to make. And it feels like there's little to no home for that.
Are you finding then, beyond this one movie, the stuff you love, there's no room for? And that's also what's sort of wearing on your
No,
psyche?
I think, if we're going like really specific to
I want to be
personally,
specific to you. What is going on? As someone who's done so many things, has had success, as you said, done nothing wrong, and your movie now is sitting dormant. That's one piece of it. What is there other things that are sort of bothering you about the business now?
The business was always hard, but it was more possible. There was more opportunity. I remember having a good conversation with Kathy Schulman, Producers United, about this at some point. Like, I was too young to be in that same class with all of you and your cohorts and have these real robust resume, really just distinguished experience. And I still had great experience. But I think myself, my husband, and the people in our class never really matriculated up. Mm-hmm. It was, when we first got on the Producers United Zoom, when the group was really small, it was like me and Tendo were the only people who are about our age, mm-hmm. right? And who had rolled under that garage door just in time. This is all to say, I think the combination of not having enough juice myself to, okay, yeah, you're going to go get this movie made because you are a marquee name producer. Mm-hmm. I made Palm Springs. That's a great calling card. Everybody loves that movie, myself more than anyone, but that is a smaller budget movie. So I'm not being thought of for the huge budget. I loved your episode with Lorenzo last week, and he was like, I've made a lot of $150 to $200 million movies, so I don't want the budgets to shrink. I had a crash course coming off of only making studio movies in, oh my God, Palm Springs, we're gonna make this for $4 million, right? Mm-hmm. And this was another soul crushing piece of it. Now that you've got me talking, good Lord, is if you get Emma Stoney of a movie, mm-hmm. and that's it. I don't want to lean on the gender thing here, but I will say a bit harder, I think, in the comedy space and for women, and also just the nature of the conceit of this movie. There's a host of really significant, important names who wouldn't make any sense for a movie about two best friends having their first babies.
Sure. It's the safe thing. It's trying to reduce the downside because that's the way it's been done through foreign sales and things like that.
Exactly.
Looking for ways to reduce the downside.
Yes. And as we know in comedy, that the foreign sales aspect almost goes out the window. Mm-hmm. I'm so responsible with budgets. That I think is also a little bit of we did everything right and still. Mm-hmm. But I think what is at the core of all of this for me It used to be really hard, but fun at sometimes. The ability, the possibility, all of it, it shriveled up so much and got so miserable. Everyone in town, starting, the pandemic, I talk about this on almost every episode of this podcast. So this will be a good connective tissue. The pandemic really hurt us in ways that I think as humans that we just had to put one foot in front of the other and not totally acknowledge. And I think the business shifted hugely then, and then we had the strikes.
Right.
And the palpable misery in this town during the summer of 23, we'll say, really, I think, maybe never left me. And I say this, I then got the movie greenlit, talked to you that night, went to Portland a month later, and had the greatest experience making this movie. And I still, right now, if I'm being very, very real, which I will always be, I love doing this. I love talking one-on-one with people and connecting about creative stuff. I don't know if I have it in me to go fight the good fight. It feels so less possible to me now. And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. So let me try to reframe this whole thing for you if I can.
Please.
And so, yes, all to everything you're saying, and completely acknowledge everything you're saying and understand everything you're going through. Everyone is feeling some part of that.
Yeah.
What you're feeling, from the very tippy top all the way down to kids that are just coming out of school are feeling some version of what you're feeling. Also, just on the B side, feeling like, why would I put up with all this crap when I can go make a podcast or go do content on my own, have control, and make money? Yes, right? And so what my biggest fear is that we lose people like you.
That's so kind.
When a certain, I won't out the person, but there was a really, really talented executive who was let go, I called them immediately. And I said, so are you okay? How are you doing? They were, a little bit shaken up.
Yeah.
And they said, I said, what's your plan? They said, I'm going to go try to be a producer. I said, do not do that right now. We don't need you on this side. We need you on that wall because you're really good at doing what you do. Please don't rush to do this right now. We can't lose you from that side. So I feel like a lot of producers, talented people feel the way you do. Also, a lot of executives feel the way you do.
Yes.
Beaten down. Get up every day and go, do I have it in me to do this? I have to reframe it for you and for everybody who's feeling that way. Please don't give up. We need you. We need your talent. We need your point of view. We need what you do. It's hard. It is hard.
Yeah.
But what you have to hang on to is those moments that you made the movie and that you were having the joy of being creative and telling a story that you wanted to tell in a way that came together despite all the odds. You cannot give up. You have to stay, because if you leave, if there's talented executives that are like, wake up, like, I can't do this anymore, we're losing those points of view. We're only going to make then the same kind of movies for the people that are making the movies that are easier to get made. So I would reframe it to you. Do this. I think it's fantastic. I'm here. But you can't lose hope. You have Producers United. We have to stick together. We have to talk to one another. We have to encourage one another. I get a lot of shit because I'm trying to hold executives to a higher standard because I was one.
Yes.
But I care deeply for them. I care deeply for the ones that fight the good fight. I know how hard it is. I know how hard it was when I did it. So I don't want people to quit. I want people to, especially younger people, even younger than you, to want to do this. And even though it's hard, and even though it has shifted since before the pandemic and during the pandemic and et cetera, it's always been hard. And the fact of the matter is, you're good at it and you can get it through. And even though it's a pain in the ass, and even though it might not be ultimately in the short term, as rewarding as you want it to be, you got it fucking made. And it's a movie that's great. And Palm Springs is amazing. Yeah. And this movie is amazing. So you got to hang on to that, Becky.
I am flashing to us having lunch in Brentwood that day in a similar. So I love that we're doing this on the air, but a bit of the pep talk that I was referring to, honestly, because there is, I think, and we'll get to this when we get to your story. You came up in such an incredibly robust, movies were the center of culture. We had a monoculture, and there was great success and there were huge challenges. It's always been hard. Absolutely. I agree. It feels different to me now, right? The consolidation, the shrinking of the business, all the things we talk about. Yes, but it also feels like so much less is getting made. And that, I think, I really want to answer your question, and I'm really like trying to be introspective here. Coming up under Mary and Scott at Universal in 2003 to 2005, and because I was Mary's assistant, I ran the competitive grid. So I was aware of I had to update it constantly, of all of the other studios and what they were releasing. Universal was putting out 26 movies a year. How many now? All franchises. You know, I have a friend who's no longer an exec there, but said to me at one point, we're franchise managers. We don't even call ourselves studio executives anymore. So I say that to say, and to bring it back a little bit to, as I said on your podcast, I moved out here because I saw the Royal Tenenbaums and September 11th and a few other things. I really care about the creative more than anything. And it feels like trying to make this deeply commercial, not very left of center movie with people that you know in it. And still, we are like ripping our hair out. So excited for it to get out in the world at some point soon. This feels different to me.
I don't think factually we're making less. I think it's theatrically has obviously shifted.
Yeah.
But there's Amazon who are making a bunch of stuff, and there's Netflix that's obviously making a bunch of stuff, and there's a bunch of independent movies getting made, and so I think factually that gets broadcast and gets into the psyche quite a bit.
Yeah.
But the feeling that you can't break into the studios anymore because there's a predominantly a franchise mentality is probably factually true.
Yeah.
So you have to create different ways for the time being until there's a more fundamental shift in the way that movies are consumed. What is hard is to pivot.
Yeah.
And so the pivot, what's interesting about streaming is the pivot came at a very interesting time in history, which is called the pandemic.
Yes.
Which then became this gold rush. So we got this shot of adrenaline injected directly into our veins. The big franchises were always going to be there, but they kind of sat dormant for a minute while this flood of content came rushing in, and everybody, you know, like to quote Oprah, you get a movie and you get a movie. So there's this huge flood, and it became like this gold rush for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Then the strike happens, then the whole thing collapses. So I think that it's just been such a weird emotional shift. Look, we all feel it. We all feel how hard it is. We all feel that everybody is looking for the solution rather than the love of making movies. And so for somebody who's as sensitive as you, that's really wearing on your soul because you love movies and you came out here after you saw the Royal Tenenbaums. And most people that I talk to on my podcast had some movie that moved them, right? And so I believe, and this is just comes from my own experience, that everybody that's in the business right now had that same experience. Some movie that moved them or some reason they want to be in this. I don't believe that we're just a business of people that just want to make money. On all sides, from agents to managers to studio executives to talent pool, everybody wants to make great shit.
Yeah.
So right now, the way the business is working because of the pandemic and everything is the thing that's the safest bet is IP and proven titles. There will be a time when that broadens out.
Yeah.
So right now we're at the first quarter of 2026, and everything that should be working is working. What is dispiriting and what has been happening over the past since 2019, roughly, because that's what everybody always goes back and looks at and compares box office to. There was a weird feeling for a while there that even stuff that should work wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gets people really feeling like the bottom's falling out.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Because then you start to feel like, I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Yes.
Like, why aren't these movies working? So what we do as humans is anytime you're asked a question, you feel like you should answer it. So what happens is we look for answers. Yes. And we look for patterns. And so what we do is we say, okay, then it must be this. It must be that nobody wants to go to the movies, that it's too expensive, that there's other things, and all those things factually are true. But right now what we're seeing is this huge surge in the business.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to the Lorenzo podcast, he posits too that there's fewer things in the marketplace, right? So it's like giving stuff room to breathe.
Yes.
Well, that's a scary prospect, because then if that's the case, then should we be making less? But I think what's happening is as a business, we're hitting the target more directly. Mm-hmm. And I think that during the pandemic, some of that development got pushed to the side, and now like Housemaid comes out and it's $400 million, and movies are hitting their targets. And then
Project Hail Mary.
And Hail Mary, and Colleen Hoover, his book. So there's things, and it's not like books are a new thing. Gone with the Wind was a book, and Mary Poppins and all these other things. So it's like, we're now going, okay, we're now hitting the audiences where they want to be hit.
Yeah.
And we're being rewarded for it. That generally, if you look at history of the business, which I obviously read a ton of, that generally makes people start to feel like, ooh, okay, it's starting to work. Let's open the gates. Let's open the aperture a little bit. Let's try this. Remember that. And so if a Wedding Crashers comes across one of their desks and they've just had a run of 2025 was for Warner Brothers, then you might go, ooh, let's open the aperture. Let's try that again. And then if that works, then you open the aperture a little bit more. I think what happened was, because of all kinds of factors, strike, development being derailed, movies being pushed, shut down, started again, the pandemic, streaming, just saying, let's go, foot on the gas, which then diluted the talent pool, because writers were off writing all kinds of different things and you weren't consolidating.
Yep.
I think that for all those reasons, and not necessarily any one in the lead, there was that vibe for a few years that even though we were doing everything right, it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And that made everybody get super tight. And then you start to look for, okay, well, then what is the sure thing? We're only going to do the sure thing. And it consolidates. Hopefully, if this streak continues, that it's not just one studio doing well. If the wealth is spread around and we're delivering movies that people want to go see, the aperture will widen a bit, and hopefully streaming will continually to be a robust place to also make movies and television shows. Hang in there, because it's hard, and the fact of the matter is, when that aperture is opened, you don't want to just go, well, cool, let's make 6 more of the other thing.
No.
Because 6 more of the other thing will then make the audience go, it just feels like we're only seeing the same stuff.
Okay, I have 2 sort of follow-ups to this. The fact that we aren't a monoculture anymore. And do you remember that list? I remember Bellany talking about it on The Town, of who are the known movie stars. And it was all the people that became movie stars in the 90s or the 80s, pretty much, right? That's still, you're going to name Sandra Bullock and Julia Roberts in terms of just broad awareness of who's a famous movie star. So now I think it's a vicious cycle. Okay, your movie's greenlit if you get Emma Stone. Well, we're not going to get Emma Stone. Emma Stone is one person. There should be a list of not 20, but let's say 6 more people, women, who would make sense there. So I'm curious where your head is in terms of the movie star factor, because what I find is, and this is a really shitty way to put this, but I'm going to say it anyway, I think another aspect of the soul crushing is I think the people in charge who are determining whether your movie is greenlit or not are looking at, and they always were looking at spreadsheets. That's important information and data. Great. They're looking at it way too much. I don't mean to cast aspersions on all executives. There are some really great ones out there. But there's also a lot who are so afraid of their own shadow, afraid of sticking their neck out because they don't want to get fired. You and Lorenzo talked about this a lot too. And I like, yes, yes, and yes. The lack of taste, the lack of, I believe, that was another really key piece.
Well, look, I don't believe that that's true. I know that we talk about it a lot like that. I don't believe they don't have taste. I believe that there is a fear, but I believe on the inside, they got in this business for the right reason. They're passionate about the business. They're passionate about making good movies, but they feel like you, Becky. They're being told, by the media, by the data, by the box office, that there's no way to have your own taste. There's no way to have your own passion. Just stick to these things and we're going to be okay. So I think it's all connected together. If you right now got a big piece of IP thrown at you, but you didn't necessarily connect with it, but you could go make it, you would do it.
Yeah.
Because you're having a hard time.
Yeah.
And your soul's being crushed. Well, the executives are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
They're having a hard time because and look, again, no one's doing this maliciously. There's no mustache twirling villain
it's
in the C-suites going, we're going to ruin the movie business. It's the fact of what I just said. It's all of those factors played a part and where the real fear comes from is, holy shit, we released a slate of movies that should have worked that didn't. That's where the real fear happens, because then you go, I don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
And that was happening. And I think for just a bunch of reasons, it didn't have to do with necessarily was the movie good or not. It was timing, the pandemic, the strikes, all the things were messing up the distribution cycle, and development got all fucked up too because of strikes and pandemic.
Yes.
And now we're catching up. And what people forget about the movie business is how fucking long it takes.
Yeah, totally.
And how long that tail is. So we are coming out of the pandemic now.
That feels very real.
Well, that is insane.
That is true.
Because it was so many years ago.
No, I know.
To your mind.
Yeah.
Your mind is saying, this can't still be the pandemic.
Exactly.
Well,
we should be healthier.
Well, but we're not, because it takes so long to catch up. And then on the back of that, there was a strike for 8 months.
Yes.
So we're still working our way through that. And so I would say to all the executives out there who are feeling like you're feeling, you're in the same boat. Don't give up. I know it's hard. Keep fighting the good fight. And if you're a EVP or above, do not fire them for that.
Yeah.
Do
100%.
not fire them. Let them come to you and be passionate. Let them come to you and express the thing, because there will be a time, if this trend continues in 2026 and we can get to a place where the box office is working, we've sort of settled down into figuring out budgets and figuring out ways to make money. The business becomes robust again, which if you look back at history should happen. It's a cyclical business. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine, I wasn't alive then, but I would imagine that every time this happened, in the 30s and 60s and 80s.
Yep.
That I was alive in the 80s, but I wasn't in the business. But like, the people in it felt the same way. There's no way to come back from this. This is it. This is the end. And because I read about it, I read that in the 30s, they're like, the theater business is over, man. These morons do not know what they're making the right stuff. And then the younger generation figured it out and came in and created a whole new business. And the same thing with like Raging Bulls, if you know that book, those guys came in and figured out a new business. Where I'm trying to do this grassroots effort is I'm just trying to make sure those people went into the business and made their own movies. They made Raging Bulls. They made the Taxi Drivers. They made Spielberg made Duel on television. My fear is that those people are now going to start podcasts and are now going to do their own content because they're like, this is too fucking hard. And it is hard, but it's hard for a reason. And I pray that people that are soul crushed like you, that are so fucking talented and have such a cool point of view, don't give up. And so if you're a young executive, and I mean young, under 60, don't give up, because it's worth fighting for. It really is. And like you said, it's forever, man. And like if you're an executive at a studio right now and listening to this, and you find a young filmmaker and a young writer and have a passion for a project that gets made and is successful, it lasts forever.
Yes.
I'm telling you, movies that I made when I was at Disney, people still talk about those movies. That's what we're doing it for. We're doing it for our legacy, and the fact that when you're on set, that's why I don't ask at the end of my podcast.
Oh yes,
best deal you ever made.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't do that. Or like, what was the most
best
profit?
day on set.
Yes,
totally.
What's the most profit you made? Because that's what we're doing it for. So this is important, because I know, like, and again, this is the other thing that happens. Your soul is feeling a little stomped on, or a lot stomped on, and so you're rationalizing in your head, well, it must be the executives. The executives' souls are feeling stomped on. So they're looking around going, well, it must be the producers and the writers don't have any good ideas. And why can't they just bring me stuff that I can get made? So we got to stop. We're all in this together, and we're all feeling the effects of cycles.
Yeah.
The removal of the home video market and making it something totally different called streaming. The pandemic. The strike. Any one of those would have been history making. If you look,
correct,
you go back and read throughout history, any one of those would have been an event that'd been like, oh, and then the pandemic happened, or then the big strike happened for 8 months, or then streaming happened. They all happened kind of at once. So we're having this huge shift.
Yes.
But it always cycles through in some unique and different way. And what's really interesting is it generally then becomes this huge like era where everybody points to and goes, why can't it be like that?
Yeah, totally.
That always follows a time that was super shitty. I don't know how long the cycles last, because it's hard to tell, because each cycle has its own thing. And generally I would imagine that people who are in the cycle don't even know.
Yeah.
They just all of a sudden starts to get better, and then you get to, and you start to get stuff made again. You're like, oh, we're making movies.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long the cycle is going to last. I just know that historically, if you want to look back further than looking back at the time where we all thought, oh, this was the golden age. That was coming off a time that was really hard.
Yeah. Have you seen the 1975 documentary?
Yeah.
That was, I found, exactly as you're talking about. Matt and I just kept looking at each other like, oh, okay. So it was really, really tough then too. And they were in a real moment of reckoning then too, which like I sort of knew, and I'd read Easy Riders, Raging Bulls many years ago, but
they didn't even know they were in it.
Right.
They were just young people coming in to try to make shit differently than the way the other people did it.
Yeah.
That is what we need. We need that wave of people that won't just decide to
rebels on the backlot,
be on TikTok and get millions of followers and make their money that way and go to Coachella and post pictures.
Yep.
But those people are going to roll up their sleeves, write a great script, get a movie made that's going to break open the shift, that's going to allow then the door to get kicked open and everyone to come flooding in. And guess what? All of the people that want to avoid risk and make money will follow along, because it will be profitable.
Well, it'll make sense on paper too, of like, we can point to this success and
I'm going to push back on one more thing that you said. Sorry.
Please.
Just for your own good, Becky. I'm going to push back on the movie star thing, because think about it. One TV show called Euphoria created 3, almost 4 brand new movie stars.
Yes.
So it happens.
Wait, who's the 4th?
I mean,
who's the almost 4th?
I mean, there's
Zendaya, Sydney, Jacob,
there's a couple of them that I'm seeing now are starting to make moves. So 3 for sure. So like, okay. It used to be Friends did that. Yeah. Right. So like, it can happen. The Boys created new movie stars. It can happen. So
love that show so
this is nothing new. Don't get anybody to get like, oh, this is like a new trend, because it's happened for like TV did create movie stars always, and movies create movie stars. So it's hard because it's hard, but it's not unusual and it's not new.
Do you think the fact that movie star marquee names are doing limited series more often than they used to is a factor here as well?
The biggest factor is that because the movie business is in transition, a lot of those super, super really talented people that would be writing movies are creating those shows.
Yes.
And therefore actors want to go where the best material is.
Yep.
And it becomes a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy that if you're a person that would have normally written, DTF St. Louis as a movie, you decide, I want to make it a 8-episode show.
Totally.
And then you get David Harbour and you get
Bateman.
Yep. So like, okay, he's a guy that Steve's written movies. So it's also kind of you're going where the business is kind of nudging you.
Yes.
And now I'm hearing a lot, TV is so hard. Good for me as a feature producer.
Exactly.
Come back.
Exactly. Please.
Come on back.
It's true.
So it's the same thing with the superhero genre. So when I was an executive, big time directors and big time writers weren't writing superhero movies. Yeah. It was a thing that was kind of, on Ain't It Cool News, and you kind of went, okay. And the one piece of IP sitting out there that everybody was like, except for Spider-Man.
Right.
Spider-Man had, Jim Cameron circling around. You're like, that's the one superhero movie that's kind of cool.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Iron Man comes out, and then everybody went, I'll write one of those. I'll direct one of those. And then you get Coogler directing and all these amazing directors directing these movies.
Yeah.
And so what happens? The talent goes there.
Yeah.
So it's again, it's all just sort of these puzzle pieces being moved around the board. And while it was in a transition, you have Westworld being made as a TV series as opposed to a movie again.
Yes.
And so if the business comes back, everybody, look, as humans, we have FOMO, right? That's what we have. So if you see these movies working in red carpets and you're like, oh man, those actors in Devil Wears Prada seem like they're having a really good time. And our premiere for our limited series didn't seem as cool as that. And that material is really good. I want to do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I want to do that. And so if we can bring that back, people are going to flood back in and the talented people are going to come and the people are going to want to do it. And we're going to get different things, or we're going to get more interesting things.
Yes. And Project Hail Mary and Prada, this, I think this episode's going to air like 2 days before Prada comes out. But the marketing, the flooding of this, the excitement is palpable. Yeah. I will be there opening weekend. I saw Project Hail Mary twice opening week. My 13-year-old was like, there's a sneak preview of Project Hail Mary the Monday before it came out. Mm-hmm. He had, I'm sure on TikTok, been told about this. And so we sought it out and we went to that. There's an excitement for all ages for these bigger movies, for sure.
Well, also imagine, let me go back to where it was a little more scary. So if Project Hail Mary would have come out of the gate and it would have started tracking like Fall Guy, mm-hmm. and the studio was like, mm-hmm. this doesn't feel like it's going to work, they would have pulled everything back.
Yeah, exactly. Let's cut our losses.
Or if Prada would have been, oh gosh, man, that was so long since that first one came out, there's no audience for it, you wouldn't see it.
You bet.
So what's happening is Fall Guy should have worked for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Hail Mary should work for all intents and purposes, and it did.
Yeah.
And so you start to feel like, well, then let's chase it, and then you get more, and then Prada, it's working, let's do more, right? And so as the business starts to heal, and we can see the wins, and people are putting more into the wins, and supporting the wins more, they become greater.
Yeah.
Then you go, with a little wind in our sails, let's do the next one. Let's take another shot. Let's try this. That's good for all of us. And so again, I go back to the place of when stuff was seemingly like it should have worked and it wasn't, then all the theories come. Well, it's the theaters. Well, it's the audience.
Yeah.
Well, it's the thing. It's the choices. It's the wokeness. It's the whatever. We're just looking for reasons why it didn't work. Well, now we should be looking for reasons why stuff is working and not putting too much credence in, well, it's just one thing, because it's not. Like Prada's going to work, and you could say, oh, it's a sequel, but like Prada's going to work, and Hail Mary worked, and Sinners worked, and One Battle worked, and these movies are working. Where Lorenzo was right, and again, where like a movie like One Battle, then you start to bring in, well, it was expensive. That's where we start talking ourselves out of
completely
doing these things, and we can't be doing that. We have to be taking the wins and just continue to support those wins and look for reasons to make other things that can be wins.
Yeah.
And the more we do that, the more we can get this business healthy again. But that's only going to work if studio executives and producers like yourself don't give up.
Yeah. Again, another great pep talk. I appreciate you. Can we, unless there was anything else you wanted to cover, can we do a little bit of a Todd Garner deep dive?
Listen, you can talk about anything you want. For me, when I hear somebody's soul is being crushed, I have to figure out why in this business, because I don't want talented people to leave this business. I want talented people to stay. And again, if all those executives out there that are fighting the good fight, stay.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
Yeah. And you had Steekeel on the podcast, so if I believe, and Lorenzo was talking about this also, one of the hardest things as a producer to do is stay very clear on, just stay focused on, this is why I love this. This is why this is a good idea for a movie. I am getting this made, right? The tunnel vision and the persistence of that. I get out of my fucking way when I have something I really care about and we're going to get it over that finish line. And
that's producing.
Exactly. It sure is. Matt and I say this all the time. What does the producer do? Everything. I was standing on set once with Neil Brennan, and he was about to shoot something, and he was like, oh shit, I have gum in my mouth. Is there a PA anywhere? I was like, give it to me. And, but it goes from we don't have time to bleed, let's fucking go, all the way to, the bigger decisions. I want to not give up the fight. And something being hard, that's to me, I want it to be hard. I love hard work. I want to end this part on a positive note, and I hope you're right. I hope that, because, and just specific to my thing, it's not like Let's Have Kids came out and it sucks and everyone hated it and it was rejected, right? Then I might be really questioning God, maybe this wasn't good. And it's all subjective, of course, but this is a movie for a lot of people. This is in the vein of, and Parenthood's one of my very favorite movies of all time, as it is Steekeel's. I'm not saying it's Parenthood, but it's in that soup and conversation. And I hope that there not just as an audience for this, I know there's an audience for it, but I want to keep making movies that I deeply believe in. I want stuff that feels in my taste. And again, as Adam and I keep saying to each other, the fat lady has not sung here. The movie's not even fucking out. We don't even have our release date yet. So yes, and I do think that will, even just having it out in the world, will put wind in my sails. I haven't had a movie come out since Palm Springs, since July 10th, 2020. That's fucking crazy. And then all of these sort of, the soul crushing. But I will say the connecting one-on-one and having these conversations, I think is, for both of our podcasts, is what it's all about. I mean, listening to you and Lorenzo talk was the warmest hug to me also, because Matt and I came up in the business under you guys, and he worked, wait, hold on, I have a prop. Because he was at Revolution with you.
Matt Smith. Yes. That's right. All those movies. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. He was like, okay, I have this. I was like, let's find something from Revolution Studios.
That's hilarious.
To honor. Let's go back a sec if we could.
Sure.
Okay. You grew up in San Fernando. Mm-hmm. You always loved movies.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. You go to Occidental. Mm-hmm. You are an editor right out of college for 4
In
years.
college, during college.
Incredible experience
The best.
Well, and even now, right? Not only do you know your way around the edit, and that's incredibly useful at times, but to think like an editor, to have had that training early on, has that defined so much for you as you've gone on?
Yeah, I mean, even in the marketing of the movies, I try to work with the marketing people as closely as I can, as closely as they'll let me, because I was an editor for so long. I edited a ton of music videos and commercials, so I understand marketing and I understand how to cut stuff.
Yeah.
And so, as much as they'll let me help, as much as I'm helping, I do like to help in that respect. It's for even apart from the movies, just on the trailers and the TV spots, to sort of weigh in as much as I can, because I do feel like the years that I've spent editing have been very valuable. And also just in terms of when you're on set too, you can kind of see how things are shaping up. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all experience is valuable.
Yeah.
Every time you're on set, you're learning something new. I can't tell you, it's become a funny joke to myself, where I think, okay, it's got to be that I've seen everything now. You can't there can't be anything else. And then every movie, I go, oh, this is new. Okay, wow, never seen this before. This is a new one.
Yes,
because every movie is a totally different animal. But I also will say, you can't judge your success solely on when the last time you got something released was either. It's hard to get stuff made. These things take time. Sometimes you make a bunch in a row, and sometimes there's a lag.
Yeah.
I remember being an executive, as you talk about, when there was like the robust times. And I remember right as I was going to become a producer, a producer said to me, goes, you got to have some backup for those years that you don't have a movie. And I'm thinking to myself, what? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
For the last 15 years, I've been making 12, 15 movies a year. What do you mean have a couple years I won't make a movie? Well, okay. So it's also about how you frame your success as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do think the reason why you're responding so much to doing this is you have control. It's immediate. You're seeing results. And as a producer, we want that. We crave that.
For sure. The era that you were at Disney and you had these huge movies, and when I say huge, I mean budgetarily, but also just the impact of them. You and Nina Jacobson sort of famously had this great partnership because you had really different tastes and specific ones, and you would fight for what you believed in. I imagine going into Revolution. So Joe Roth leaves to start Revolution. Do you go with him when he starts?
No, it was a whole drama. He left, and I did not like the new person that was coming in his job, and quit. And Michael Eisner said, you can't quit. You have a contract. So I said, well, all right, then my contract is not valid. And so I sued. I mean, I didn't ultimately have to because we never went to court. But in theory, I sued Michael and Disney because I was saying that my contract has been continuous for more than 7 years, which is illegal in the state of California. Okay. Which was true. Okay. So I knew I was going to win. Yeah. But it was how much pain was I willing to endure to get out of my contract. And I also knew that I couldn't talk to Joe because he can't be inducement or anything like that. Yep. So I didn't actually know what he was going to go do. I just knew that I wanted to stay with him. Yeah. Because I had a great run under him, and he and I have very similar tastes. Yeah. And so, so I eventually got out of Disney, and then went to call Joe and said, hey, I just got out of my contract. What's going on? He goes, we're starting a movie studio. I was like, oh my God. Okay. So that was that was a different time. There was this kind of, again, the business was in an expansive state. So there was room for more movies to come out. There was a lot of things that didn't work about that company. We should have never been in competition with Sony. We should have been a part of Sony. So there were some things that just didn't ultimately work out. And so personally, I went through a divorce, so I didn't want to be an executive anymore. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But it was a very interesting time. We made a lot of movies, and some are good and some weren't. That's just the way the business is.
100%.
Everybody takes their shots.
Punch Drunk Love, Black Hawk Down. This was a question from Matt Smith. He said, will you ask Todd what his favorite Revolution movie was?
Well, that's like saying which is your kid is the cutest.
Yes, but
there isn't a favorite one. There's a lot of them I love. I mean, I love.
He thought it would be 13 going on 30.
Well, I mean, that's the one that sort of keeps enduring. That's when I was saying
Totally.
There's movies from my past that people bring up constantly. That's one of them.
Yeah.
Look, I loved Black Hawk Down. I loved Triple X. I loved Anger Management. I loved Click. I loved 13 going on 30.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies we made that were really, really fun. I loved Punch Drunk Love. So like I loved Hellboy.
Yeah.
I mean, I made a lot of movies that I loved.
Totally.
But this is the thing. Because we had no IP.
Yeah.
So everybody that came to us for Joe Roth's and my taste.
Yes.
Mostly Joe, but for my taste also. And everybody knew what my taste was. So it was like low-hanging fruit. You came to me for all those movies. And people knew what Joe, his resume is
for sure
10 times crazier than mine. And so it's like, because we needed movies and we didn't have Spider-Man or any IP, they came to us because, oh, Joe and Todd will like that.
Yep.
And so it was easier to get stuff made because we were already behind the eight ball. We didn't have any IP and people already knew what our taste was from our years at Disney together.
Yep.
So you could hand us a movie like, I had made a couple of we had made a couple of Spike Lee movies and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Mm-hmm.
So PTA walked in. It wasn't hard for him to go, oh, you guys would like a movie. We made Ed Wood, for crying out loud. So it was like, it wasn't hard to say, oh, you would like Punch. And we were in business with Sandler. So it wasn't like, that was a very easy yes.
Yeah.
And same thing with Black Hawk Down. I developed that at Disney. So and Triple X was obviously from Con Air and Armageddon and Rock and all those movies that I love.
Yes.
Easy to hand me that movie and say, let's go.
Yeah.
So that's why it's also so important for people like yourself not to give up and to keep broadcasting what their tastes are, because then you'll have more people bringing you the kind of movies you're going to love. Completely.
And I think as I was coming up and finding some success, got into a lane basically of Becky Sloviter loves comedy and it's grounded and like not too broad, but kind of cool. And like, she's going to jump in and really roll up her sleeves. Mm-hmm. And so that was the exciting part to me when I started my company. I had so much incoming because I do a specific thing. When you left Revolution, became a producer, was Paul Blart the first one? The first big one?
First big successful.
Yeah, I mean, that movie was fucking gangbusters. And then we worked together right after that on Zookeeper at MGM. Talk about like trust and producers, though.
Mary Parent was a superstar in that.
Yes.
Because I remember Mary is so great. So, look, Mall Cop was not easy to get made. Amy, she's on the record saying she didn't get it. It's like Sandler helped me push that one through. And then I remember when the week before the movie came out, before Mall Cop came out, Mary called me freaking out. She's like, are you reading these reviews? I go, nope, I don't read reviews for these kind of movies. She goes, they're bad. I go, I'm sure they are. I said, Mary, here's the thing. You're the best. I love you. You bought this thing competitively. Right now. Right now, if you want to let this go, I would not hold it against you. But if you got to do it now, because I'm telling you, I think this movie is going to work. But I literally would not hold it against you. She goes, nope. No.
Love it.
I believe in you.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, thank you. And the thing that's amazing, and she deserves it, Nikki Fink, when Mall Cop came out, said, Mary Parent's a genius for buying Zookeeper before Mall Cop came out. And she is.
Yes.
And so that is, again, That is the trust, but that's trust that was built up for so many
Exactly. The
years.
credibility, the relationship. You guys knew each other forever. But I'll say, because I was the executive on that movie, and I remember flying to Boston, I was newly secretly pregnant, found myself in Boston next to Joe Rogan, of all people. I'm like confiding in Joe Rogan that like I'm really sick and I have to excuse myself, and he's like, it's the best. I mean, life is weird.
Joe didn't have like 9 things to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that he's on this podcast.
This was 2000. What was this? 2008 or 2009. Having said all this, there was a lot of trust. The fact that I was the only person sent to Boston and right, like, because you know what the fuck you're doing. You have this great relationship with Kevin, and the cast on that movie was insane, and it was great.
It was a lot of days, a lot of nights.
Oh yeah,
and live animals, which I'll never do again.
No,
it was a lot. It was a lot.
So you have Mortal Kombat coming out
May 8th.
May 8th. I don't know if I've ever told you this. For many years, you were sort of the example to me and to Matt when we were having trouble getting something made. We'd be like, what would Todd Garner do? Honestly, we truly would, because, I mean, I think some years you're making 4 movies a year. I mean, you know how to push stuff through. You know how to work really well with studios. I loved this part of the Lorenzo episode too, not villainizing studio executives or producers. Like, knowing how to work together, because if everyone's rowing in the same direction, there's going to be conflict always, of course, but what is best for the movie, right? And I think you always have your eye on that ball.
Where I look for is, where can I be the most additive? Where can what am I going to bring that's different than anyone else?
Yeah.
And so we have 300 producers in Producers United. Everybody is different and brings a different thing, and it brings a different skill, brings a different way they do it. It's so fascinating to me.
I agree.
And I try to learn from all those people. I've learned from you.
Yeah.
And so I try to figure out, what am I better at than any of those other 300 people at doing? Because that's the only reason that I'm going to be able to have a leg up and get nice stuff made.
Yep.
So I focus on that. I focus on stuff, like you said, that you're passionate about, because you have to get up every day and do it.
Yep.
I'm not cynical about it.
No, you're not.
All.
I admire that.
The only thing I am cynical about is that we're not more respected as a job. I'm very cynical about that, because I think it's bullshit.
Yes.
So that is the only thing that I'm have a little bit of frustration about.
But you're also doing something about it, right? By forming Producers United and being a real engine behind that and continuing to be.
Well, it's why I do the podcast also now.
Yeah.
We talked about it. Bo Flynn and Mark Baradian and a bunch of us talked about it. And Bo was the most active. He said, you got to go do it again.
Yeah.
And it's hard and it's a lot of work, and I don't make any money doing it. I'm doing it just because for this. And it's important, because, like you said, if you're driving to the set of Palm Springs upset and feeling like you need to pick me up.
Yep.
I'm going to fucking give it to you.
100%.
It's ridiculous that you should feel that way. You should have been really having the best time ever and been super respected. Not that you weren't, but you should have been. And so.
Totally.
Yeah, that's why I do it. So I'm not cynical about the business at all. And so I always just try to figure out, what can I do that's better than anybody else?
Yeah.
And what can I bring that's different and better than anyone else? Because I'm the only me. So it's like, I'm better at being me than anyone.
Yep. Yep.
So I can bring that to whatever movies I'm doing. And I also understand enough about the business, it's a business. So I understand enough about the business of having been on the other side.
Yeah.
That I know that everybody has a boss. Everybody. Yes. And ultimately, the boss is the audience.
And that's what, when I was a VP at MGM when I was overseeing Zookeeper. And I remember, I have a really clear memory also of you calling me on my home line late at night one night. And I was like, I think I'm a real studio executive now. Todd Garner called me at home. But it really empowering me to go advocate for the movie, and also giving me just the roadmap, and I find the way that the way you work with executives, and again, because you came from that, is that is it's not just an asset, it's like very specific to you, and you're really good at that.
Well, I grew up in a era coming up to the business where there were some real personalities out there.
Oh yeah.
Like one of my favorite moments of all time was I was making Hellboy with Larry Gordon, and he called me and I answered the phone. President of the studio called me and lit me up. And I can't remember the specifics, but he has that great Southern accent.
Yep.
He's just ripping me. And I was like, Larry, I'm agreeing with you. Like, why are you yelling at me? And he goes, I'm not yelling at you. If I was yelling at you, you would know it. And I remember like going,
that's amazing.
Wow, man, that's crazy. And so I understand what it's like to be on the other side and be in the studio, because that whole generation of those kinds of producers really felt the studio was trying to fuck them over.
Oh yeah.
And so they kind of came at you that way. And I always approached being a studio executive from the other side of, I love making movies. So the genius of Jerry Bruckheimer was I was on the set of every single movie we made together for pretty much the whole time.
That's amazing.
And why he's such a genius is he would just turn to me and go, hey, we're going to go over today, right? You good with that? And I'd be like, okay. And then he could say to anybody, Todd said okay. Like,
exactly. He's been here the whole time.
It was genius. But he brought me in, and he's a huge mentor to me and taught me everything I know. And so, but the genius of that, I would love it. I would love if every movie I made, there was a scene, there was an executive sitting next to me, and we can be like, right, we should fix this right now. You can, that's the best. So I try to approach it the way I wanted to be treated.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also give every studio executive the benefit of the doubt that they felt like I felt like they want to be in it. You don't want to just, there's so many movies that I worked on at Disney that I really either came up with the idea for or really developed and brought everybody on that I will never be associated with ever again. There's no documentation. I'm not an IMDb.
Yep.
So I know what that feels like to have like something you really, really care about that got made and you now are just a footnote. Right. And so I sympathize with that job.
Totally.
It's really hard. And so that's the way I've always approached it. And so it's hard to be cynical. And I think the reason why I'm able to get stuff made is I just understand that. I understand that they're going to have to talk to their bosses and I have to justify why.
You know what's necessary to get it made, so you're going to provide that. One of the tenets of being a great producer is the put yourself in someone else's shoes. Mm-hmm. What do they need?
You got to give them all the reasons to say yes.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do the last looks portion of this podcast, and then you can ask me my best day on set of Let's Have Kids, and we'll look at this.
Yeah,
exactly.
You start, because yours is so freaking complicated. I had to like really think about yours.
I know.
Mine is so much easier.
Exactly, and I'm still gonna, because we were on set 2 years ago, I'm gonna have to think about it. And because every day was so good. All right, last looks, Todd Garner. What is either your favorite movie of all time or a few movies that you love and feel are representative of your taste?
Right. So the representative of my taste is easier because there's not like one favorite movie of all time. I got everything written down because you're like,
do it, please. I know.
Like so intimidating.
Yeah. Sure.
So the movie, like if I had to like give you the two movies that really would just kind of cement who I am, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep.
And Raising Arizona.
Ooh.
And then the third movie, which everybody should see because it really exemplifies what we do, is Sullivan's Travels.
Yes.
Which is that's my Bible in terms of whenever I'm feeling like, because there's a tendency when someone says, oh, you made Mall Cop, you go, because it's not like super fancy and it's not like critics loved it. And it did make a ton of money, but it's like, I just love making people laugh. And I've seen that movie play, and I've heard so many kids say, it's my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, totally.
That's why we do it. And Raiders of the Lost Ark is a perfect movie, and Raising Arizona is just sublime.
Okay. Music. I feel like you're a big music person. What are your
two albums?
Desert Island albums.
The question is 2 albums you would take till you get rescued, right? That's the
exactly to help maintain your sanity.
Very easy. It's Bob Seger, Night Moves, and Prince, Purple Rain.
Ooh. Okay. These have not come up yet.
Those are the
love them both, but I love Seeger.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Gets you through everything. You can drive to it. You can drink to it. You can be sad to it. You can be hopeful to it. It's perfect album.
Oh my God. Oh, I love it. These are great choices. Amazing. Books.
Okay. I'm doing 2 that like I think are mandatory and are different, mandatory for different reasons. One is The Kid Stays in the Picture audio book.
Yeah. Ooh. Does Robert Evans read it himself?
Oh my God. If you have not listened to The Kid Stays in the Picture audio book,
I haven't.
Download it right now.
Yeah, I can't wait.
You can't be in the business unless you've listened to The Kid Stays in the Picture.
I've read it, but yes, I haven't.
I will tell you a very funny
voice.
Story about The Kid Stays in the Picture audiobook.
Okay.
I love it so much. I gave it to everybody for Christmas the year it came out. Like, I think I bought 100 cassettes and gave them to everybody. I was like, you, this is the greatest of all time. And I can't remember, Bellany or somebody was doing a story on Evans and called me and goes, I want you to give us a quote about Bob Evans. I go, why? And he goes, he says you're his eyes and ears in Young Hollywood. And I'm like, what? He what do you mean? He says you're his eyes and ears in Young Hollywood because I bought 100
what an
cassettes,
honor.
I guess. Yeah.
I love it.
But it's so great. It's so great about him, his perception of how shit was made, which is probably nothing like the truth. It's just perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect for every reason about Hollywood and storytelling. Okay, and the other book, which is completely the opposite, is Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson. I mean, it's great. It's like the Bible.
I was just going to say,
it's massive, but
Isaacson doesn't write short books.
It's the best about an artist, about patronage, about Medici, about who he was, about business. It's in all of Walter's books are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk about more. The other book is a Kirk Kerkorian biography, which is amazing. It just talks about deal making, about his view of deal making and who he was as an entrepreneur. And it's incredible.
Okay, amazing. Okay, last question. TV. Anything, do you have a favorite of all time, or what are you watching lately that you've loved?
Okay.
Or it can be both.
This is going to be 2 sides of me.
I love it.
My favorite TV show of all time is Twilight Zone. Hands down. Love it. Love seeing every episode, and basically every sci-fi movie ever made is just one version of one of those episodes. And then the other show that I love is Love Island.
I literally was like, please say Love Island.
Love Island UK, and I'll tell you why. It's not for the reason you might think. I love it because my son, who's 25, we used to watch The Bachelor, and it would inspire so many conversations about relationships, about boyfriends, girlfriends, love. It was incredible. And you just have natural conversations. And Love Island UK has now taken that place with my daughter, who's 18.
Love that.
And we watch we watch every year, every summer. Now she's going to college, so we won't. But every summer we would watch it. And it just inspires so many conversations about good boyfriends, bad boyfriends, good relationships. You know, it's so.
I love this choice because, and we talk about this a lot on this podcast, like art matters, and art can come in many forms, and it does inspire that connection and conversation. And even Love Island UK is art. It fucking is. I love it.
All right, now you.
Okay.
Best memory on set. Doesn't have to be from your last movie. It can be any memory on set. And it can't be the one where the guy spit the gum in your...
Yeah. Give it to me. And I don't want to say the one that I said when I did your podcast, which was really great. Okay. I am going to say Let's Have Kids. And it is hard to narrow down because truly every day was so wonderful. It was just this simpatico experience where everyone was making the same movie. I'm going to say, though, that the baby shower scene, because it is it is a very grounded version of it, but it is a commercial movie with the set pieces and all of it. So of course there's a baby shower scene, and it was everyone in the cast. We had an amazing production designer who we worked with very closely. I'm like never been so proud of anything. And having thrown a lot of baby showers myself, I had a lot of opinions about this. I also am very, very pregnant in the back of that scene.
I was going to say, aren't you in that scene?
Yeah, unfortunately, Max Greenfield and I, there's a great picture where, again, I look like I am 9 months pregnant and I'm just another pregnant mom there. But it was one of those I had to still be the producer of the movie and then come on and like, say this one fucking line. And the back and forth of that, was not just exciting, but I was like, I'm really doing it now. Like they are still asking me, what are we doing? Because I'm the producer of this movie. And then also I get to do the other side of it. And it was just fun. And that cast is insane.
So I want to end with this.
Okay.
When you are feeling sad and your soul is getting beat up, do me a favor. Try to remember the sentence you just uttered, which was every day on the set was amazing and glorious.
It's true.
Sometimes the journey is everything and not the destination.
What a great place to end. Yes, and yes, it is. And so much. And I think, yes, that is what Adam and I talk about a lot. And Karen and Zoe and everyone who, that was just a really special experience. And
we'll make more of them.
Exactly.
You will.
And as Catherine O'Hara said, but I'll apply it just to this. When it's a great experience, it's great forever.
Yep.
There you go. I never know how to end this, so I'm going to get up and give you a hug.
Okay.
So we have to do it. General Meeting with Becky Sloviter is hosted and executive produced by me, Becky Sloviter. Our editor is Jay Rothman. Our audio engineer and director of photography is Hector Fernandez. Our tech producer is Griffin Davis. And our theme music is by Jay Rothman. Special thanks to Tanya Dahl and Cody Blue Snyder. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would be so appreciative if you would subscribe or follow the show on whatever platform you get your podcasts. All of our episodes are on video as well on our YouTube channel at General Meeting Pod. Please consider subscribing there as well. And you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at General Meeting Pod, and more information is on our website, you guessed it, generalmeetingpod.com. Thank you, and most importantly, even though they're not in season anymore, go Birds.